to Kadir Ustun, who is the executive director of the SETA Foundation in Washington, D.C., and he joins me now for more. Good to have you on the program with us. You know, I'd like to know your take on these emergency meetings taking place in Brussels. Do you think these leaders are showing a united front against Russia?
So far, so good, let's say. NATO is united in terms of exerting pressure on Putin, exacting serious costs on the Russian economy. But I'm not so clear if there's a way out in terms of supporting negotiations and creating a diplomatic solution. Of course, Putin doesn't seem to be willing at this point to make major compromises, but there are some talks ongoing under the sort of mediation of Turkey. That's very helpful. But making this very costly for Russia is all good for NATO's, NATO's unity, and the West is trying to protect Ukraine and is helping Ukraine. Turkey is doing that also. But at the same time, the way out will be through diplomacy, and the NATO will have to think about that as well.
NATO allies have agreed to bolster the alliance's eastern flank and send further support to Ukraine. How is that all likely going to impact Russia?
So we've seen so far Russia expected a quick victory, and that hasn't happened, and it won't happen anytime soon. As long as the Ukrainian will to fight exists, and Russian army doesn't seem to be so interested in fighting, and the support for Ukraine, military support and financial support, will simply strengthen the resolve of the Ukrainians to fight. But we also need a roadmap out of this, right? There's 3.5 million refugees. This is a major pressure on the world economy, not just the regional economy. And so many shifts are happening. It's a huge event in terms of NATO's, how NATO defines its mission in the years ahead, how Black Sea security is impacted, the Middle East, European security architecture. All of this will have to be figured out in the months and years ahead. The Ukrainians are fighting, and they will continue to fight and defend their independence and their territorial integrity. But at the same time, there has to be a way out for Putin. And if, he's completely pressured, I'm afraid of some, more dangerous things happening, such as nuclear, chemical weapons, etc. So I hope we don't go down that road, and that's why you see Turkey's position in trying to find a ceasefire that will stay, and then build upon it to try to find a diplomatic solution. At this point, it doesn't seem that easy, of course, but the good news is Zelensky is open to talks, and talks are continuing. But at the same time, like I said, exerting so much pressure on Russia, rightly so. I'm not debating it shouldn't be done. The exacting costs, that's also something the West is united around. But at the same time, there has to be a way forward through diplomacy.
Yeah, and when you talk about Turkey's role in this and possibly mediating a solution between Ukraine and Russia, how do you see that continuing?
Of course, Turkey was the first country to bring, both countries, Ukraine and Russia's foreign ministers, to Turkey. And they followed up, the Turkish foreign minister followed up by going to both Moscow and Kiev. And Erdogan is advocating for diplomacy at the NATO summit at the same time. Turkey has very complex, strong relations with both countries, both Ukraine and Russia. So it is in the interest of Turkey to achieve some sort of stability and peace in the region. That's why Turkey is pushing for diplomacy, as much as it is also aligning itself with NATO position. It hasn't created any frictions within the NATO. It has supported Ukraine in a major way by giving them logistical support as well as military support. The famous drones, armed drones have done a lot for the Ukrainians. They're very, appreciative of that. But at the same time, Turkey knows from experience in the Middle East that these protracted conflicts go on, and they simply produce humanitarian crisis, and the world public opinion eventually kind of tires off such conflicts. And I think Turkey is afraid that we might see a similar scenario. That's why they are focusing on trying to achieve a quick ceasefire and then diplomatic solution, political solution, as soon as possible. And I'm going to be realistic. I don't think it's going to happen very soon because Putin needs some sort of political victories. He needs to be able to say he achieved something, and he's already, borne the brunt of all these sanctions and heavy costs.
Okay.
He's figuring that he may as well just go all the way.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so we need a diplomatic solution eventually. Thank you.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Kadir Ustun joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you.